Come on, Jaecoo, you have this. I'm going to pose a question here. Are the newcomers now catching up to the true OGs? We have the Jaecoo J7 now of plug-in hybrid tech, and the Subaru Forester, which is one of the vehicles where back in the day it helped popularize the SUV trend. My name is Tay. I'm going to compare these two vehicles here. Let's get on with it. Whoa. Stop what you're writing in the comments below. Let me just give a little bit of clarification. Now, I know that these are not direct competitors. We have the outgoing Subaru Forester, which is due for replacement pretty soon. And the Jaecoo J7 is a plug-in hybrid with front-wheel drive versus full ICE with four-wheel drive. But the pricing is pretty similar between the two that we sat there and thought, just need to give that. Allow me to provide a little background information here. Chery Auto, who is the holding company for Jaecoo, have in the year of 2024 produced an astounding rounded off figure of 2.6 million vehicles. It's pretty massive considering Chery is a fairly young company, only opening its doors in 1997. Meanwhile, in comparison, yes, Subaru's 2024 vehicle production figures are smaller at a rounded off 937,000, but Subaru has been in the business of making cracking cars since the 1950s, and the smash hit Forester model only came around in the late 90s when Chery was born. It's pertinent to note this because the newcomers are coming in hard. So without further ado, let's get into the video. The Forester has certainly matured over the years. Gone is the wild child styling, but you still get these abstract shapes such as for the headlights and other exterior cues. And this is the black edition, which has blacked out exterior accents. Has the Forester aged like fine wine? I reckon so. Jaecoo's whole slogan is from classic beyond classic. It's pretty evident with the Range Rover-esque styling, the slim head and taillights which are LED, the large piano key style grille, and to top it off with the hybrid model, these 19-inch turbine alloys. Quite contemporary. Is it going to age well? I think so. Enter the cabin of the outgoing Forester. And evidently so, it is rather analog in here with the bevy of buttons and controls. It's even evident here in the X-Mode rotary. And with the new images of the Forester that we saw, we see much of the difference is just the extension of the infotainment screen to integrate the climate panel. Apart from this, the vehicle is outfitted with soft touch material all around and even this leather as well. And even with the new Forester, surprisingly, you still get analog instrument cluster. In this day and age, a bit rare actually. I'd say this is more for the driver that wants to interact with everything rather than just focus on a touchscreen. And now we enter the Jaecoo J7, which is rather digital, with the front piece being this 14.8-inch touchscreen infotainment. This is pretty much your control center for everything in and around the vehicle, except maybe these few buttons here and on the steering wheel. It's very smartphone-esque, this touchscreen, but technology has a tendency to get outdated and rather quickly. So will this age well? Time will tell. But apart from that, this interior is very finely finished. The soft touch materials are a pleasure to touch and interact with. And the fit and finish here, I have to commend Jaecoo for this. This is a really comfortable vehicle. At the heart of this vehicle is a 2.5-liter petrol non-turbo flat 4. It makes 136 kilowatts and 239 Newton meters. The power is sent through to all four wheels via Subaru's symmetrical all-wheel drive system with a CVT transmission. Claimed fuel consumption for this vehicle is 8.3 liters per 100 Ks. We've been hovering around the higher 8s in our real-world consumption figures. Over here in the Jaecoo J7, you have a 1.5-liter turbo petrol engine paired with a plug-in hybrid system. The total power output is 255 kilowatts and 525 Newton meters. Whoa. That power is sent to the front wheels via the DHT transmission, which stands for direct hybrid transmission. Fuel consumption figures when the battery is depleted is 4.7 liters per 100 Ks, and when the battery is fully charged, 1 liter per 100 Ks. Now, our real-world figures are hovering around the 4.7 liter mark with combined cycle driving. Now, some of you are going to say to me, Tay, why on earth are you trying to do a 4x4 obstacle with the Jaecoo J7? It's a bit unfair against the Forester in that. Well, here's the thing. So when we did the pre-launch for the full ICE version of this vehicle, we did some very light off-roading. I'll throw up some pictures on screen for that. So I think the Jaecoo is perfectly apt for smaller things like this. We have 200 millimeters of ground clearance, and we have an approach angle of 21 degrees and a departure angle of 29, which is perfectly fine, I rate, for something like this and going off the very gentle beaten path. So I will demonstrate here. Okay, so very gently, we're gonna go over this hill, ever so gently. You got this, cool hunter. You have this. Ooh, bit of a scrape on the bottom, but it is doing it. Come on, Jaecoo, you have this. You have this. It does have hill descent, but it is doing it. And elegantly so. Okay, there's the parking sensor going off. But yeah, the Jaecoo managed fairly decently. And now we find ourselves in the Forester. What sort of figures are we dealing with here? For the ground clearance, we have 220 millimeters. For the approach angle, we have 20.2 degrees, and the departure angle is 25.8 degrees. Now, this is where the Forester has a slight disadvantage against the Jaecoo with the approach and departure angles. But we have four-wheel drive, and we have our party trick here, which is the X mode all-wheel drive terrain program. Let me demonstrate. So, we're going to put it in snow and dirt. We're going to put it in drive, but we are going to use manual mode. All right, so let's mosey along. I can feel it giving traction to one of the rear wheels. Okay, come on. X mode, you got it. Hill descent is kicking in. Did it without a hitch. Without a hitch. This X mode and this all-wheel drive system, still pretty potent. Even though the years have gone on in that, Subaru has refined the systems significantly. But this isn't the only thing that these vehicles are good for. Let's take it on road. Piloting the Subaru Forester. This is the car that did it all. Mom, dad, the kids, and even the dog will be grinning from ear to ear when they experience this vehicle. Now, on the power front, yes, you don't get a turbocharger, and turbocharged Subarus are a riot of note. But the non-turbo powertrain here is good. It will do the job quite nicely. It's got a linear power curve, and it's got that get up and go sense of urgency to it. And one thing I really had to praise about this vehicle is the outgoing model's suspension setup. The primary ride soaks up bumps like no one's business, and the secondary ride is rather communicative. I'm getting a lot of road texture coming into the cabin and such. And yes, the NVH, it is a bit more noticeable in this vehicle compared to the Jaecoo over there, but this is still pretty good. The suspension here is tight, it's lovely, and this vehicle feels agile. And this is also complemented by the lower center of gravity thanks to the boxer motor being low down, and that all-wheel drive setup. Oh, mint setup. I'm really keen to see what Subaru has done with the new Forester when it does come out. That being said, let's head on to the Jaecoo now. Let's see how that performs. And now the newcomer, the J7 PEV. Right off the bat, I have to say that the calibration for this vehicle compared to the full ICE version that I experienced some time back, it has improved heaps. The addition of the PHEV system has ironed out the power curve so nicely that it's a rather nice, more linear, but also pokey power delivery. It doesn't have a tendency to light up tires anymore. I really like what they've set up with this. And another thing as well, the NVH for this vehicle, it is silent in here. I'm not really getting much road noise permeating into the cabin and even wind noise as well. And we'll talk about the suspension setup as well. Both primary and secondary, this car is pretty much very cushy to drive. It's soaking up bumps on the road. The secondary is maybe a little bit on the firmer side. However, there's still some ironing out that needs to be done. And ironing out in the form of the brakes are quite sharp. I feel there could be a little bit more progression when it comes to stepping on the pedal. And thanks to the minimalism aspect, some of the controls you would like to have, like in the Forester for example, is somewhat taken away in this vehicle, where you become more of a passenger instead of the pilot. Don't get me wrong though, Jaecoo has done a fantastic job in a lot of areas with this vehicle, but it just needs a bit more polish. With all this said though, I think I know how I'm going to conclude this, so let's head back. It's quite interesting. The newcomers are certainly disrupting the market. The J7 is an absolute pleasure to drive. They've ironed out so many contentious things that I've had when this vehicle first launched. And the Forester is still a cracking vehicle to drive. It's certainly something you appreciate once you experience it. But you can only ride on the coattails of the flat 4 and all-wheel drive for so long, because these vehicles are edging ever so closer to the legacy vehicles. I think the legacy vehicles are going to have to start getting quirky again in order to stay relevant, in a good way. And that's it for the moment. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe to the AutoTrader YouTube channel so you don't miss another video. And don't forget, if you're looking to buy or sell a vehicle, AutoTrader is your #1 marketplace. See ya!